Hey guys, it's Dr. Jen, and I thought I would stop in just to talk to you a little bit about the recent case of E. coli that was acquired by a few children at a San Diego petting zoo, and the fact that one of the children died from complications of this E. coli infection. A lot of you have actually been writing me on social media, have been calling me, asking me, okay, does this mean I need to swear off petting zoos for my kids? Okay, does this mean no more zoos for the little ones? So I wanted to come in and chat with you just a little bit about some of my thoughts. I've been talking about it on the news a lot the last few days. All right, let's just go back a little bit and talk about, kind of recap what's happened. E. coli is a bacteria. It's a bacteria that tends to live in the intestines of both humans and animals, but we can also find it in the environment, in food and water and things like that. Now, most cases of E. coli, guys, are harmless. Most cases, like most strains, don't bother anybody, but there are a few strains that do cause illness, and they can cause lots of different types of illness. And that's what we're seeing in this particular case here. The type of E. coli that was acquired by the children was the type that caused illness, okay? Now, symptoms of this particular type of E. coli infection tend to be things like bloody diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, abdominal cramping. Some people get fever. Symptoms may last 5 to 7 days. But let me tell you this, even for those people that acquire an E. coli infection of this sort, most people will get better, okay? However, I know you're asking, so how did a child actually die from complications of E. coli? Well, 5 to 10% of those people who will get this type of an E. coli infection will actually progress to a more severe disease called HUS. This is a disease that causes things like anemia and low platelets and kidney damage. People can go into multi-organ system failure, have lots of complications, and it can ultimately lead to death. So that is one of the risks of it, but once again, that is very rare, and even people with HUS, most of them actually tend to recover. So let's take a step back, okay? So your original question is very likely, well, wait, should I never take my kids to a petting zoo again? And what should I do? All right, let's talk about how this bacteria is actually acquired, okay? So the first thing you should know is that we see it often around animals and in environments where animals are, okay? So you don't actually necessarily have to touch an animal to get E. coli. Sometimes it can be actually in the environments where animals live and roam. So what does that mean for you and your kids? That means if you go to petting zoos and if you go to zoos, first things you do is make sure you're not taking your own food or drink in the environment around animals, okay? Make sure that you're not letting your kids put their fingers in animals' mouths. Make sure that your kids are not putting their fingers in their own mouths when they're in those environments. Make sure that you don't allow your kids to sit on the ground and play in areas where animals are living and roaming. And also, let's talk about the strollers and all that kind of stuff. Keep the strollers and the sippy cups and the pacifiers and the toys and all that stuff outside of the area of the petting zoo or the zoo where the animals are, because all of those things are potential areas or things that can become infected, okay? But the biggest thing, which I have not mentioned yet in terms of prevention, is hand washing. I cannot say it enough. Hand washing. Making sure that you're washing your hands and your kids are soap and water, 20 seconds, and do it frequently. Even if they don't touch any animals, even if they don't touch any stuff, make sure they're washing their hands. Okay, so this E. coli infection is most common in kids that are under 5 and people over the age of 65. Should you go to petting zoos, you're asking me? Well, I think probably for most people, it's going to be okay to go. Now, what I would say is that people who have underlying medical conditions, weakened immune systems and things like that, you definitely got to talk with your doctor. And look, if you're just kind of not sure about your child's medical condition or what they've got going on and if this is safe for them, check with your doctor anyway. I think it's important to remember that I don't want you to be alarmed, okay? But we do want to be careful and to be very thoughtful about your particular child and their specific needs. So as always, check with your doctor about your specific situation, but I hope this was helpful.